Hey there. Recently, one of my Marines asked me if he bought a vintage dress blue uniform, if he could wear that to the ball. I told him, sure, why not? I'm not a first sergeant. But it did inspire me to make a video on the evolution of the dress blue uniform. So, the dress blues, basically as we know it today, uh, originally originated in 1912. But before that, the blue uniform of the Marine Corps came about in 1798, when the Marine Corps was actually established in 1798, which replaced the Continental Marines. They were basically issued leftover blue uniforms with a red trim and a light powder blue pant from the defunct American Legion, which is not the American Legion as we know it today. It was basically the follow on to the Continental Army. So it was essentially the same color scheme that we wear today: dark blue coat with powder blue pants and a red trim. So before we get into it, there's a lot of myths around the Marine Corps dress blue uniform. As far as the officer's uniform goes, the myth of the quatrefoil and identifying Marine officers while on ship, uh, besides the obvious logic that only Marine officers were intended to be spared by friendly fire, is a little odd, but also the fact that it was simply just kind of the French style of the day that the American Marine Corps adopted. In addition, the high collar leather neck, a lot of people say it's to prevent being cut or decapitated by a cutlass or a saber. I challenge you, well, I don't, but uh, on a dummy, put a piece of leather collar and then smash it with a cutlass or saber and see if that prevents you from decapitating a gelatin dummy. But really, it was used to enforce discipline and basically just an aesthetic to have Marines keep their heads up and look proper while aboard ship. Because remember, the Marine Corps as a shipboard service was originally designed to enforce discipline among the Navy sailors, which again, where we get our motto "Semper Fidelis," which means always faithful, which means we have never mutinied against a ship captain. So going into that, the P 1912, the 1912 model of uniform is really the genesis of what we wear today. And just introducing the Marines we have here, all 3-5 Marines. This is uniform of Robert L. Mallory. He served with the 47th Company in Nicaragua. This is uniform of Corporal Hubert Schreiner, who is a K Company Marine on Okinawa, who was wounded there. This is Rex Lester, who is a G Company Marine, wounded in 1952. And then my own unimpressive uniform. So, as weapons comes guy for those curious. So, getting into the evolution. So, earlier, this is a 1920s uniform, very similar to the World War One vintage. Really, nothing changed. Note, you'll notice no pockets on the front. The white belt, same thing. The NCOs would have had, a design on their belt buckle, and then the blue cap, which was usually worn in winter, with the white cap being worn in the summer. As we move to World War II, we keep the half-inch size ribbons. Um, of course, this Marine is wearing his French Fourragère, which is awarded to 3-5 after the issuance of 3 Croix de Guerres. So he rates that being with 3-5. Robert Mallory would have as well. It's just me trying to find proper uniform components to restore these to how they should be, but he should have one as well in his defense. But Corporal Schreiner wears his French Fourragère as well as his half-inch ribbons and the blue cover on here. So really, the big difference between World War II and the post World War II Korea Vietnam uniforms is that the addition of 4 pockets, so the 2 breast and the 2, I guess you call them hip pockets below the white belt. The doing away with the blue cover in favor of just the white cover. These are still like a cloth material. Um, the uniform in the Korean era is still a wool, and the shoes are still basically a black leather that the Marine would have polished his own belt buckle as well. I don't have a Vietnam uniform to display to you at this time, but obviously the current generation uniform is this, I guess, a polyester blend. The cover, if you buy a good one, would be vinyl, as well as the patent leather high gloss brim shoes that we wear, and then the high gloss buttons and belt buckle. So really, you can kind of see, of course, obviously World War II is the only time, well, World War One as well. If I had a World War One uniform here, a shoulder patch, you probably would have had a 3-5 shoulder patch, which is a blue square with the Indian head representing the Second Infantry Division, which 3-5 was a part of at that time. That's Second Army Infantry Division, not Second Marine Division. We gained the division patch, which we lose following World War II. But certainly, Marines coming back from the war would have worn that out of pride, even if they weren't at Guadalcanal specifically. Peleliu and Okinawa were tough fights, well known back in the United States, that First Marine Division Marines would have been proud of. From World War II to Korea in 1947, we lose the half-inch ribbons and get the 3/8 ribbons. I personally think the half-inch ribbons look a lot better, but with the awards inflation that we have today, it would never work. Like, you can see my stack with one deployment versus a Marine who landed on Okinawa and was wounded. So yeah, so rolling into basically my personal views and beliefs on this, I think we've lost a lot of sense of pride in our uniforms. The Marines don't take care of them as they used to, and there's a few reasons for that. One, the material and quality is a lot cheaper. We see that that regression not nearly as bad as the Army has done in their new adoption of the pinks and greens, because they're that cut, that material so cheap it just doesn't carry and hold the weight that these older wool uniforms did. But we still suffer from that with our polyester uniforms. We don't have to polish belt buckles. We don't have to polish shoes. We don't have to polish leather on our covers. So there's a sense of pride in that that's lost when you just pull it out of the closet and you're ready to go. I talked about that in my Service Alpha video about how service uniforms used to be the day-to-day wear, and your utilities were only issued for the field, so you didn't wear your service uniform in the field. It's the same thing with these uniforms. Not that they're necessarily day-to-day wear, but we've lost a lot of the mystique and care and pride in them. And also, we've lost a lot of uniform variations over the years. So I think that I'll do a separate video on that, but we used to have a service khaki uniform for summer. Marine officers used to have a white dress uniform. And these things, I think, looked a lot better. If you ask me, I think the blue cover looks better than the white cover. But those are my opinions. They're subjective. But I'd really be curious to hear about yours. If you think the no pockets look better, I know you guys are going to say bring back division patches. And I know if I do a Service Alpha video, you're going to say bring back leather belts. And I think that's important. I think that shows how much Marines want to take pride in these uniforms. I know a lot of Marines feel how I do about the ribbons we're being issued today is just like just thrown out there, and you can basically not do a lot and look like a North Korean general. Whereas these guys came back from World War II with maybe 3 ribbons, maybe 4. So I encourage you to do some research on your own, but I'd definitely be curious on your opinions. Maybe which version is your favorite, if you'd like to see something come back. And I will definitely do in-depth spotlight videos on each Marine I have here in the future as well. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the support, and it is a pleasure and honor to do this.